Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Slant Walk Sports Podcast. I'm Zach Green,
I'm Keith Mabu.
and this week we have a lot to go over. I say we start off with the topic that everyone's having their eyes on, and I mean, Miami Athletics is only one big game this week, and that's football.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're not talking even Mid-American Conference news right now. This is national news the past couple of weeks. I don't know if you've been on Twitter, but ever since Daquan Finn left, everything, all the national websites are talking about it now.
Yeah, and this week kickoff Ball State 12 p.m. Home at Jaeger. But let's recap this past week, and I want to add in a picture before we do that, just to give this man the respect before we start talking about him.
Mr. Gotkowski.
Mister, I think we'll bring it up later, but I think he's earned a pretty good nickname. Um, he, I mean, we'll dive into it, but he really took over in this game, and Hessen came in for I think a drive or two, and did not look that good. They obviously were preparing to go with Gokowski if Hessen didn't come out and look strong, which they did, and he started playing in the first quarter um, and balled out.
Absolutely. Let's keep in mind he's a redshirt freshman. What was the last time we saw a freshman quarterback do that? It probably was Brett Gabbert in 2019 when they won the MAC championship. So to see, because that's the whole thing with this season is that it's a new roster. We're gonna have to rely on the older players. So it's nice to see that down the stretch we're able to rely on the new, not new. He was here a year, but younger players.
Yeah, and I was texting with my friend. I said I think this is the first starting quarterback that's played in a while that's actually been a student at the school. I mean, Gabbard after a couple of years, graduate, whatever. Daquan Finn was the 7 year. So I mean, this guy is in the thick of it with everyone else. He was 13 for 23 with 185 passing yards, a very efficient 185, I'll say. A touchdown, and then 9 carries for 26 yards and a rushing touchdown. And the rushing touchdown was interesting because he clearly got the ball over the goal line, but the camera panned to Chuck right after, and he was not happy. Deservedly so because Gokowski just stuck the ball out over the goal line, and it was a touchdown. But Chuck wanted to be safe and just tuck it and run.
It kind of
Um,
shows almost just, it's a young guy. He's his first time going for a rushing touchdown. He's got to learn the ropes a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you look at these stats and they look okay, especially for a first timer. But if you watch that game, I mean, some of those catches could have made it on Sports Center, dude. And I know they put a couple Buffalo catches on there, but Cole Weaver had an incredible one. I think Cam Perry had an incredible one. One of them had a one-handed catch down the field. Like, you got to go watch the highlights. You can't just look at the box score for this game. And this was a
yeah,
much needed win for us.
I mean, it was win or go home, MAC championship wise. It was Buffalo and us were both in that situation. Cole Weaver had an amazing game. I mean, he's really shown up. He had two great catches that were both DPI. One of them was ruled almost not a catch, but he got the foot in, and the other one you could almost say was even crazier, and he just went up and snagged it with one hand and came down. I mean, he's really shown up for this team, and he's definitely. I mean, for Gotkowski making his first ever passes, collegiate passes, to have a big guy like Weaver with with sure hands, who can go up and get the ball is electric. And then on the other side of the ball or other side of the line, you have Cam Perry, who's a
Mm.
speedster playing great, and that was his first ever touchdown pass. Was an absolute dime to him.
I mean, every game you look at his stats and it's like, all right, 76 yards, but then you realize that's four catches. That's not, you'd expect seven catches, eight catches to get 70 yards. This guy's going down the field and every catch is a 30-yard, 40-yard bomb. He's just so, like, to have a threat down the field like that is incredible to have. We don't do Hail Marys that often, but it's nice to know that he's going to be down there for it.
Yeah. And then rushing wise, Jordan Brunson, 16 rushes for 123 yards. And I listened to the press conference with Glikowski, and he said it's like knowing you're gonna go sleep in your own bed. With like having that the sure 5-6 yard to carry kind of guy that he can hand off to. And he said it himself. It's a great feeling, as a like I said, making his first collegiate plays that he has someone that he can just hand it off to and get him a couple yards.
Absolutely. And I think that was a much needed rebound from Toledo. I don't think we ran the ball that well against Toledo. We didn't do anything on offense that well against Toledo, but to have that rebound because it is very momentum is a big part of football, and to have a game like that, it's very difficult to rebound 1 week later and play a game where you need to win it for your postseason, and then not only to win it but win it decisively. So props to both sides of the ball. I mean, defense did their job as well.
Yeah, and I mean, let's talk about the defense. 6 total sacks versus Buffalo. They definitely got home more in the third and fourth quarter. Adam Trick got a tackle for loss, a sack, 2 passes deflected. I was looking at the box score. There was like 5 or 6 guys that recorded a sack or at least half a sack.
Wow,
So everyone really got home. Silas Walters grabbed an interception, which was great to see him back in action there.
absolutely. I'm sure he wanted his comeback to be closer to what Buffalo was and Toledo was, but it's nice to have him back, especially as a redshirt senior. This is one last go around the block.
Yeah. And I mean, defensively, it was definitely was not a clean game. There was a decent amount of penalties. I believe it was the first drive in the second half that Buffalo absolutely. I mean, there was like 4 highlight reel catches on us. There was a Moss. I think it was like a back shoulder.
Yeah,
It was bad, and they kept targeting Yarborough like consecutively. I guess they saw something on him, but I mean, Miami won the battle at the end, and that put Miami to 5-2 in the MAC. And
yeah,
I mean, I say MAC lightly, but I mean the MAC has been it's a complete showdown right now.
absolutely. I mean, just talking about that Buffalo game real quick. Going into that game, Buffalo has one of the best defensive lines in the conference and one of the best defensive lines in the nation. They, I think it's Red Murdoch is like one of the best, has some of the most sacks in the country right now. So I was nervous going into this game because I was like, we just came off a bad Toledo game. We're going up against a strong defensive line with a quarterback that doesn't have that much experience. Even if it was Gakowski, he's got even less experience than Hessen. So this is a much needed win for momentum. And now you're going home against Ball State. As far as closing out the season goes, I am glad that we're doing it at home. I
Yeah.
think that's going to help so much for just what we need to do on our end. Obviously, we need to win and we need a couple things to happen outside of our control. But I feel more comfortable in what we can do when we're at Jaeger instead of going to Muncie.
Oh, 100%. And that leads me to the question: how can we make it back to Ford Field? And I want to pull up this graphic from
The max scenarios.
yes,
Yeah.
and it's a lot. So um, I mean, I don't even know really where to start. It's really it's funny that we if it all pans out that Miami, Toledo, and Ohio, if we're all tied at the end, that we have the tiebreaker over them, considering that we lost to both of them
Just
back
because
to
they
back.
haven't played each other,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
which saves us. So the easiest path is if we beat Ball State. And then Toledo beats CMU. And I think if CMU wins, the Ohio game doesn't matter. Um, yeah. So the Ohio game I believe is Friday. Um, I I expect Ohio to win that game. Um, that's kind of what I don't think
You
they'll
would
lose.
assume so. Ohio lost to Ball State at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, which is a little worrying, and they're on the road, is the only concern there. I'm just curious about this third scenario, actually, now I'm sitting here looking at it. We beat Ball State, Central Michigan beats Toledo, and Ohio beats Buffalo, and we still
Well,
go because
if CMU wins, the Buffalo game doesn't matter. Either team can win.
hmm,
That's the big thing. So if Toledo wins, we need Ohio to win.
okay.
But we'll know. But we play at the same time as CMU on Saturday,
Yeah,
um, at 12 o'clock. So we'll know the result of the Ohio game. Because if Buffalo wins, then we, you know, our game doesn't matter if Toledo loses.
got
Uh,
you. Okay. I forgot, yeah, Central Michigan's 5-2 as well. I thought they were 4-3 for some reason.
Although they have, in terms of their scenarios, very they have a
they
long path.
yeah. I mean, Yeah, that I would assume Central Michigan. It's just too much. It's just too much that needs to
Yeah,
happen. I don't think Ball State beats us. Not at Jaeger. I guess,
no.
knock on wood, obviously. And it looks like that's one of the only thing. I mean, Eastern Michigan beating Western Michigan. Yeah, good luck with that too.
That if somehow we do make it back, which 2 weeks ago I would have said you're crazy, we're not getting there. Um, and it's most likely going to be versus Western Michigan. That's going to be a great rematch. And I mean,
Oh
they
yeah,
saw Daquan Finn the first time, so and then I mean they'll have what 2 games of film on Gutkowski, but that's not like I mean they're
it's
you
not a
you
lot.
want their defense to play the same guy again, which wouldn't happen.
Absolutely. And I think, Silas Walters is back and the defense, say what you want against the Toledo game. They still did their job for the most part. I think scoreboard doesn't show it, but defense was still playing good against Toledo. So a Miami Western Michigan rematch would be ideal because I don't know what the snares would look like if Miami and OU or Miami and Toledo or any of these other teams, but I don't have faith in any of these against any of these other teams right now.
Yeah. I'm just
I don't even
excited.
know
I
if it's
mean,
possible.
there's this football this week. Ohio State, Michigan, obviously, the team up north, and it's a fun week for college football. We have Alabama, who I think they have to beat Auburn
Hmm.
to get into the playoffs. So it's it's definitely a week.
It's getting down to it. I'm excited for this because now we have a bowl game bid again, which is obviously at this point it should be an expectation. Early
Yeah,
on in the Martin era, maybe not so much, but maybe they were excited to get a bowl game. Now it's like if we don't get a bowl game, it's a failure of a season. But we're not out of it yet, and I think I'm in the same boat as you. As 2 weeks ago in Toledo, I would have thought we were eliminated.
yeah.
Maybe not exactly eliminated, but just on our own, we weren't going to make it, and here we are.
I wouldn't say Gutkowski saved the season, but I'd say he's had a huge part. I mean, it's only been one
He's had a
game.
hand in it, yeah.
But I mean, I would not be 100 like let's say, Hessen won these final two or won versus Buffalo and beat Ball State. Like I would not be as confident going into the Western Michigan game, or MAC championship, I should say,
Mhm.
as I am with Kowski. I just think he provides a spark. Um, and I think being younger in a way, like Hessen sat behind Gabbard his whole career. I think Godkowski's, come in, obviously didn't play last year. But this year, I think he's been prepared. That's what he said in
Mm.
the press conference, that he's all week he prepared like he was going to start, even though he didn't. But I mean, now he truly can. And I mean, one game in, and this is not, I mean, not the biggest game of his life, but considering it's Ball State, but it
Yeah.
has major implications.
Yeah.
And then so transitioning from football, which will kick off for Ball State at 12 o'clock on Jaeger this Saturday. Let's talk about basketball and the hot start they're on.
Oh yeah, I mean, undefeated. Like I think we talked about this before the season even began, but they should go undefeated in non-conference play, and they just look like they're getting better and better. Even with a game, 2 games ago, Peter Suter wasn't in, and they still look solid. So this is a team that's going to make a push to. I don't want to say push to March Madness. They'll be in the MAC tournament. They're good. They're going to be dominant in conference play. I know that.
Yeah, and they cracked the top five for mid-major ranking, and they've all season, even preseason, they've climbed. They were at like a 11, I think, preseason or something like
Mhm.
that. And last year they only got to like 18th, so they've only climbed. And the last ranking, I believe, they were five. So I mean, I can assume it's only going to go up.
Oh yeah.
A couple nights ago, they scored the most points in school history in over 40 years with 111. And that 111 is coming from multiple players. In Evan Ipsara with 14.2, Brant Byers with 14, Peter Suter with 12.5, Antoine Woolfolk with 11.5, and then the rookie Omar Atlason, I mean 10.8. He's had some great games. And then I didn't write this down, but Trey Perry too. I mean they've all gotten minutes.
Trey
Um,
Perry, Tyler Robbins has been
Tyler
getting
Robbins,
minutes as well.
yeah,
I know Kyle Waltz, he had that incredible game a couple weeks ago. This is a team. as I said this against I think it was Mercyhurst, where you would expect one or two players to be dominant. I think in any basketball team you'd expect one or two star players. I wouldn't say we have a star player. I think we have 7 or 8 players that could be stars, but there's not one player that stands out above the rest. Everyone's getting double digits. We average probably 5 or 6 players in the double digits each game. And Travis Steele has talked about that a lot, of the importance of having a deep bench, and it's only continuing this year. It's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, and I mean that's what he's said multiple times is that teams have other teams have 5 or 6 guys, and we have 10,
Yeah.
which is pivotal because not that I'm saying it'll happen, but when you have stuff like injuries happen, and as the season goes on, players get worn down. When you have these deep benches, especially in MAC play and MAC tournament play, when you have these guys that you can just keep bringing in when other teams are only having a 5 or 6 man rotation, it's pivotal. And I think getting these, I was unsure at the start of the season how much these young guys would play, like Trey Perry, Robbins, Atlison, but from the get go, they've been getting minutes, and I think what's built a good deal of confidence is the lead that they've come in with, in the leads that we're getting. They come in they come into the game, we're already up 15. That lets them play looser, and
Yeah.
they're not as tense. It's more of a relaxed, I don't know, more of a relaxed feel where they
Yeah.
can just play their game. They don't have to worry about getting up shots to you know get back in the game.
Yeah, we haven't played a tight game in a while. The season opener against Old Dominion was probably the closest game we've had, and even then, we ran away with it in the second half. We
The
just didn't play
the
great.
the Mercyhurst game was a little close, and at some points, but it was box score wise it was close, but play wise it was
Oh yeah, it's a 5 point game, but it didn't feel like a 5 point game. We
yeah
were in control at least for the second half. But I think we also need to be wary because we have a objectively easy non-conference schedule until those final 2 games. It's Eastern Kentucky and Wright State. We lost to Wright State last year. It was our only loss at Millette. So we close out non-conference play with a duo of tough games, and then we go right into conference play, which we'll just have to see how it goes. I think the momentum's going to carry, and I don't think the non-conference slate is easy in the sense that our team is only 5-0 because we're playing bad teams. We're playing, Old Dominion's a good team. Mercyhurst had a good competition. It's just we need to be wary, I think, a little bit. But this team's good. Objectively, this team is good. We've got so many returners that were pivotal last year. Brought in Almar. We brought in a strong recruiting class. This is a team that's going to make it back. They want another MAC championship, and I think they're going to make it.
yeah. And I want to add in this graphic from college basketball and Fox. Undefeated
Oh,
teams,
wow.
and right front and center right there, Miami.
Right next to the Spartans. This is incredible to see. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's kind of funny because there's just so many teams that St. Bonaventure, us, and then you have the big schools, UNC, Michigan State, Michigan.
Oh yeah.
But we're in that mix. We're undefeated, and I think it'll take a little bit to get some national respect. I think nationally we would have to win some big games, and definitely play well in MAC play, because like realistically, let's say we go undefeated and out of conference play. What are we, 10 or 11-0? Like
Mhm.
we would get some coverage for it, but like then all it would take is for one article to look at who
Our
we
strength of
play.
schedule is
And I
not
mean
there. Yeah.
this Wednesday, um, we play UNC Greensboro. Like all they kind of got to do is look at some of these teams, and like
Yeah.
Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and you
Indiana
know
East coming up. There's some teams on here where yeah, like you don't need to watch the game. You should just assume that's a win. You should be able to assume that's a win. But
yeah.
it's still good, starting out 5-0, these are still collegiate teams. It's just our strength of schedule is pretty light.
But 5-0 is 5-0. Basketball's an unpredictable sport. To where anything, I mean, any sport is. Anyone can beat anyone, but to start with this record, especially um, with how Travis Steele thought the season would go and how it's going. It's a great thing to see.
Absolutely, and I think it's pretty similar to women's basketball right now. I know they're not undefeated, but they're playing good competition. They almost beat Purdue a couple days ago. So we've said it before, but this is the year for Miami athletics. Every team is gonna have more success than they've had in recent years.
Yeah, and let's talk about a little bit of volleyball. They ended the season with a positive record. They were 10-8 in the conference and went into the MAC tournament, but lost to Toledo at a heartbreaker in 5 sets.
Mhm.
But the silver lining is they ended the season really well.
Oh
They
yeah,
won the last 6 out of 9 going to the MAC tournament. And some of these games were ones they had to claw out, in 5 sets. And I believe I forget who it was against, but there was one weekend where they went. It was at home. They went to 5 sets on Friday, and then Saturday they came back and they just killed them in 3. I'm gonna find it real quick. It was Central Michigan. Yeah, they won. They won 3-2 Friday night, and then they. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't. I think I'm wrong there.
are you talking
It
about
was
the
Bowling
season?
Green.
Hmm.
It was Bowling Green. Yeah, it was Halloween. They won 3-2. Um, and then came the next night and won 3-0, and the game was over in like an hour. They
Yeah,
killed them.
this is a tough ending to the season, but it's significantly better than last season. I wrote about it recently. This is their first positive record, I think, since 2019. Is it
Okay.
2019 or 2020? So, and you got to remember, this is Dan Quitt's second year as head coach. And you look at that roster, most of the players that are getting those minutes and getting on the court are freshmen. So you're going to see them for the next 3 years. This is a huge step forward for the program. Team should be incredibly proud of the accomplishment. Didn't end as they expected. Obviously, they Dangle was very clear. He had plans to go to the MAC championship, but you should end the season like that. You make it to the tournament for the first time in 5 years. This team's going places next year, and there are things they got to work out as far as just preparing and finishing out sets, but huge step forward for the program.
Yes, 100%. And I was at some of these games, and I must say, I mean, players like Molly Creech. I mean, she was an absolute animal out there. She definitely one of the leaders of this team.
Oh yeah,
So, so I'm just double checking the soccer score for women's. Yeah, it was Bowling Green. So, and then talking about soccer, they were the number 2 seed in the MAC, and sadly lost in penalties to Bowling Green, uh,
hmm
to Bowling Green and Columbus. It was a game. It was 0-0 throughout regular time and overtime, and then they lost. I think it was by one goal
yeah.
in penalties, which was heartbreaking for the team. But they had a great season, and and that brings us to our next sport, hockey. They are actually in, I think, Ireland right now.
They are. They're going for the
I think the
oh, I forget
Friendship
what it's
Four.
called. Yes, yes, that is what it's called. They're in Belfast, Ireland.
Yeah,
This team, were you there at on Friday
I
when they
was
played
not, but I was
Friday?
there. I was out of town, but I was there the weekend before the game.
Yeah, the Friday game, I could not go, but people were saying that, yeah, here we go, sold out crowd, and people were saying in the press box that it's the loudest that they've heard Goggin in years. And these are people that have covered Miami hockey for 15, 20 years. They're saying this is the loudest they've heard it in a while. This team is drawing a crowd, and it's making the school a hockey school again. People used to say Miami is a hockey school, and if you were here in the late 2010s, early 2020s, you would have to question why it was a hockey school if we were so bad. And now we understand why. Obviously, their conference schedule rather it leaves a lot to be desired. They're 2-4 right now, but they're not losing these games outright like they were a year ago. These are games that are going to overtime. These are games where we're clawing back. At least we're not getting shut out by any of these teams, and we are competing, you know. And I'll admit, I don't know too much about hockey as far as how to commentate on it, but again, this team, our momentum is huge, and starting out non-conference play like that, and then getting your first conference win in more than 2 seasons, yeah, this is a good season for the RedHawks.
It the game versus St. Cloud State, the one on Friday that was sold out. I was shaking my head a little bit because it was a little bit, of last year where they're up 5-3 with sub 5 minutes left. Yet they won. They won in overtime, but
But it shouldn't have gone to
you
overtime.
can't let it get there. I mean, you're up two with sub 5 minutes. Like if they score, like you have to bear down. You have to. Those are mistakes that you know you could have easily lost in overtime. Then you're just looking at you just blew a lead like that.
Yeah, and then
So,
the next night getting swept basically 4-2,
yeah,
where it wasn't even close for most of the game.
yeah. I think they went up 3-0. Then we scored two. We scored some back to back, and then we couldn't find the third. But to be up 2 goals with a couple minutes left and give them up, it didn't. It reminded me a little bit of last year, and that's some of the stuff that we would see. So, I mean, obviously, um, this team has a lot more fight than last year. They have a lot more skill players. It's definitely a different season, but some stuff like that definitely needs to be tweaked because I mean they played decently well versus Western Michigan. Obviously they won it all last year, so that was the toughest task of the season thus far. But some of these little nuances could be tweaked.
Yeah, and again, as far as the overall season goes, it's still early, so they still can figure out things, and I think their roster's strong enough where they will figure out things. But I agree, only getting swept in one series though, and it's to the national champions from last year, is a good sign. But that St. Cloud State game on Saturday was it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, especially when you draw a crowd like that on Friday and you win in overtime. Even if it shouldn't go to overtime, it's still exciting. That
Yeah,
you know,
they
it's a little
have
still a little disappointing.
they have one more home series this semester, which is at the end of finals week. So I'll actually be in Oxford, so I'm most likely going to be working those games.
Yeah,
I'm going to the Bengals game on Sunday, so I'll still be local. So it should be. I'm gonna look who they're playing. I forget.
it is Colorado College.
Colorado College,
Yes.
and they play Denver. Denver next weekend. That's away.
Mm-hmm.
That's another big game.
I'm pulling up the standings right now. I want to see how everyone else is doing because I'm pretty sure we're last. We are last at 2-4. Colorado College is right there with us at 2-5-1, and Denver is 5-1-0. So they don't have it easy. They don't have it easy the next couple weeks. You go to Ireland, and then 1 week later you're in Denver against the top team in the conference. Colorado College, you get a bit of a break, but even then, they're still up in the air. And then you got the Great Lakes Invitational to close out the year.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the standings too. I'm looking at the goals for and goals against. It's interesting because there's Denver's at 53, Western Michigan's 54, Minnesota Duluth's 54, and then we're tied with St. Cloud State for fourth most. But then goals allowed, it's definitely a little man. I mean, Denver's only allowed 24. We've allowed 42.
Oh yeah.
We've allowed, I believe, I think the third most, which could be desired. Um, that's not amazing, but I mean, it's how the season's gonna go. I mean, you start off 6-0, 2-4 now. They're overseas, so how are they gonna respond?
Yep. I think again, it's still early, but have faith in the RedHawks, man. We're a hockey school again.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see it. I want to go. I should have gone on Friday. I want to see a packed Goggin. I want to
yeah,
see a packed Millette like we did last year against Kent State. I want to see a packed Jaeger like we did, I guess it was Cincinnati last year. One more trip around the block. I want to see a packed Goggin at some point.
yeah. So I think to end it, I think we have to share this and then ask the question: As hearing the name Tommy G.
Ooh, I I think he's close to earning it. I
He's
think one game is a little too early. He balled out, but it was one game. You never know. He could have just gotten lucky. He could have worn the right socks that day. If he plays well against Ball State, then absolutely let's get him a jersey that says Tommy G for all I care. I just say let's knock on wood for right now and just hope that he continues the streak.
Yeah. And I mean, the way he looked, I don't think there's any stopping him. I think he's fired up. I think this team is fired up. I think this team's excited for what I mean. I'll show this graphic one more time for what could be. I'll say it again. I think it's hilarious that two teams that we lost to, if we're in a three-way tiebreaker, that we somehow get the that we
Yeah.
somehow um, get the nod. I think it's great what this team has done. Their quarterback of 7-year quarterback just left. Um, Well, technical difficulties. So that'll do it for the Slant Walk Sports Podcast. I'm Zachary, and that was Keith and Baboon. Have a good one.